Today's lesson is angles of triangles. This is going to be day 1. We're going to be classifying triangles. So we are going to talk about how to name a polygon, the parts of a triangle, that I can classify triangles by angles, and I can classify triangles by sides. Let's start with the vocabulary. So a triangle is a 3-sided polygon, and a polygon is a closed figure in a plane made up of segments called sides and intersect at their endpoints called vertices. So a triangle uses the prefix tri, which means 3. We have 3 angles. So I have 3 sides. Here are my 3 sides. I have 3 angles and 3 angles. And the vertices are here. All right, so let's start by classifying by angle. So when I want to classify by an angle, I want to compare the largest angle against 90 degrees. So I'm going to look at my triangle and I'm going to compare it against the largest angle. So the largest angle in this triangle is 72 degrees. So 72 is less than 90. When I am less than 90, I have an acute triangle when the largest angle is less than 90. My next example here, this angle here is shown with a symbol, and I know that symbol means that that's 90 degrees, so my largest angle is 90 degrees. So when my largest angle equals 90, I call that a right triangle. So 104 degrees in this example. When my largest angle is greater than 90 degrees, I call that an obtuse triangle. These all match the names of the angles. And then I have a special case where if all 3 angles are the same, so they're all an acute angle and they're all 60 degrees. So while they are, yes, an acute angle, I call this an equiangular triangle, where equi is the prefix for equal. So I would name this triangle an equiangular triangle because it's more specific than acute. Okay, let's name triangles. We have 3 different names I can name it if I name my triangle by sides. I'm going to classify by the most congruent sides. So if I'm looking in this triangle, I either have no congruent sides, at least 2, or 3. So I have 3 different marks of tick marks, or I have 3 different numbers. So in this example, I have no congruent sides. So none on the congruent side. So I call that a scalene triangle. And my next example, when I have 2 sides that are congruent, so that's at least 2, or I could see it by numbers. When I have 2 congruent sides, I have an isosceles triangle. And when I have 3 congruent sides, and I can see that by equal tick marks or equal numbers, I call that an equilateral. So here's that prefix again. So equi and lateral is side. And if I have an equiangular triangle, it is also equilateral. So I am classified as both. All right, so let's do a couple examples here. All right, so let's classify by angle. So I'm going to start out with, and I want to look at triangle ADR. So triangle ADR. So right now I know that I have an angle that's 100 degrees, an angle that's 10 degrees, and I know that all three angles in a triangle total 180. And I also know in this corner here, this is 90 degrees, so 90 minus 20, this angle gives me 70 degrees. So classifying by the largest angle, 100 degrees is my largest angle. When I am greater than 90, I call that an obtuse triangle. All right, let's try angle ADC. So angle ADC. So I know this angle is 20 degrees because that's given. And I know this angle here, I have a linear pair. So 180 minus 100 gives me 80 degrees. And I know that all three angles total 180 degrees. So I have 100 also. So this is going to be 180 minus 20 minus 80. So this gives me 80 degrees also. So my largest angle is 80 degrees. 80 degrees is less than 90, so I would classify this as a acute triangle. My third triangle that I have here is the outside triangle. So triangle CDR. So my angles are 80 degrees, 10 degrees, and 90 degrees. So my largest angle is 90. When I'm equal to 90, I'm classified as a right triangle. All right, I want you to help me with this one. I don't know if that yellow is so good. All right, so let's start out by classifying by angle. Triangle LGS. So LGS. So I have an angle that's 60 degrees, 60 degrees. And if this angle is 30 and the whole thing is 90, I know this is 60 degrees. So when I classify my angles less than 60, so that's an acute triangle, but when they are all congruent, we call that equiangular. So the most correct answer is equiangular, even though it is acute. All right, let's try triangle LGE. LGE. So one angle is 30 degrees. One angle is 30 degrees. And then to find this, I have a linear pair. So I know that's going to be 180 minus 60. So I know that angle is 120 degrees. So my largest angle is 120. It's greater than 90, so I call that an obtuse triangle. Okay. This time was classified by side. So triangle, so I want to see how many congruent sides you have. So triangle EFH. So triangle EFH. So I'm going to just look at the numbers. So I know one side is 1, and these two sides are congruent. So I know this side is 1. And then here's my third side of 12. So I know I have at least 2 congruent sides. So by definition, when I have at least 2 congruent sides, I call that an isosceles triangle. Next triangle, triangle EHG. So EHG, that's the outside triangle. So what are my sides? So I have a side of 12, I have a side of 1, and I'm going to add 1 plus 4, and a side of 5. So I have no congruent sides. When I have no congruent sides, that's classified as a scalene triangle. Okay, now that we've classified, let's set up some equation and solve. Okay, so find the side lengths of triangle SEW. So I'm looking and I see that I have 2 congruent sides and I have the variable x. So I can set up an equation. My 2 congruent sides are equal, so I can set up for x minus 10.7 equals 2x plus 6.3. So I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to add the inverse, which is minus 2x. So I get 2x minus 10.7 equals 6.3. I'm going to add the inverse again. So I'm going to add 10.7 to both sides. I get 2x equals 17. I'm going to divide by the coefficient next to the variable. So I get x equals 8.5. So it's asking me to find the sides of the triangle. So now I'm going to substitute. So I have 5 times 8.5 plus 2. I get 44.5. 2 times 8.5 plus 6.3. I get 23.3. And thinking about this, I want to decide this other side, side SE. Since my 2 sides are congruent, when I substitute, I should get 23.3. So 4 times 8.5 minus 10.7, and I do get 23.3. So I know I did my algebra correct.